Hey class, we are going to be looking at important issues related to research in child psychopathology for chapter 3. I just wanted to introduce this chapter a little bit about research by discussing the importance of the scientific approach and why we use this. So I find that this approach is particularly important in the field of child psychology because there's a lot of myth, there's a lot of child folklore, there's a lot of, proposed home remedies and fad treatments that we see in the field. So oftentimes simplistic explanations run rampant, or simple solutions are proposed as kind of quick fixes to very complex problems. So for instance, the idea that sugar causes hyperactivity or that vaccinations cause autism. To me, these are just simplistic explanations, and these kind of simplistic solutions, for example, spare the rod, spoil the child. These are just band-aids for wounds that I believe require more intensive surgery. But I understand why people are skeptical of science. I mean, first and foremost, experts themselves often disagree about childhood problems and childhood treatments. And when you start digging into the research, it can get confusing and contradictory. And then we're bombarded by talk shows and books and newspapers, which give us this kind of diet of conflicting opinions. Number two is that research in the mainstream is often oversimplified. So people are more likely to agree with a study if a photo or a brain image or graph is shown. This, of course, offers the reader no information about the limitations of the study. The findings can be misinterpreted pretty easily. Number three is that research has led to different recommendations about how children with very similar problems should be treated. Sometimes the same treatment has shown to help. Sometimes the same treatment has been shown to have no effects, and in some cases it's shown to be harmful. And finally, many parents are quick to dismiss a lot of research findings based on a single personal experience they've had, or they've heard someone. So, for instance, despite the evidence showing that excessive use of physical punishment can be damaging to a child's emotional health, a parent may still justify the use of force based on whether or not that worked for him growing up or her growing up. So these kind of anecdotal experiences are often used to justify why we do things. So it's important to know that science really is different from non-science, or what I call pseudoscience, in three ways. First and foremost, scientists generate hypotheses about the natural world. And so going back to Science 101, what is a hypothesis? A hypothesis is an initial explanation or an account about the natural world based on some observation we've had based on previous research or theory. Number two, scientists actually set out to generate testable hypotheses. So we must be open to evaluation by others. We have to, be open to the idea that what we're trying to put out there may be disconfirmed, may be untrue. In fact, scientists don't really seek to prove their hypotheses. Instead, they seek to examine the possibility that their hypothesis might actually be wrong. Finally, hypotheses are evaluated using empirical data. So one goal is to see if causal relationships exist between two events to determine the causes of various events. So that's my little mini lecture on the importance of research.